It's been a minute since I've shot a motorcycle video. Kind of like the rest of the planet, a little depressed because coronavirus means I can't see other people. So I've pretty much just been spending the last couple months playing Apex Legends. But I watched a couple motorcycle videos recently and it really kind of got back into my head. I need to start prepping this thing, even though May is about 6 months off and that's the next date I can get back out onto the track. So I'm going through and doing some maintenance items on the SV. Basic maintenance. I decided I don't want to change anything about how the bike actually runs. I want the baseline kind of stock setup. So I pulled the rear wheel off. I'm going to be replacing the chain and sprockets on it. I was really lucky because I have a kind of crappy chain breaker tool and I've actually broken one of the pins, and the last one I got is a little bit bent, but thing came off real nice and easy. I dremeled off the master pin and then pushed her right through and got it over. So the sprockets and chain themselves aren't too bad, and quite frankly they probably didn't need replacing yet, but the chain had a couple tight spots on it, and just to be kind of complete with this maintenance is like, you might as well just do it. So I'm going to replace that sprocket and chain with this RK set. I shouldn't say I'm not doing any changes because this is a 525 to 520 conversion. So this is a 520, and I went back and forth. I changed my shopping cart like 6 times on potentially changing the gearing. So this comes with a 1544 stock on the SV650S. It's a 1545 on the naked version, and I had it originally at a 1546 for more acceleration, lower top end. But I was like, you know what, with where I'm at, with how slow I am, let's just keep it stock, learn from that. It's fewer gear changes. And then a big thing is the 2 tracks near me that I'm going to be riding are Road America and Black Hawk Farms. 2 very different tracks. This bike would absolutely gain from having the higher, more acceleration gearing at Black Hawk Farms. However, it would suffer from the huge straightaways at Road America. So, and the other thing is, if you go to a more aggressive gearing, you're shifting gears more often. It's more stuff that you have to worry about, and I need to worry about getting more comfortable and not worrying as much about, you know, what gear I'm in, shifting constantly. The less aggressive gearing, the stock 1544, is going to allow me to not have to shift as often, and it'll also allow me to get higher top speeds at Road America on the big straightaways. So kind of a bit of a compromise. Maybe I'll get some other rear sprockets in the future so I can do some quick changes on them. I've been looking at this, and I wasn't actually going to touch the rear brake, but now I can see the piston's got a bunch of crap on them. I didn't want to have to take the whole rear off. What's really shitty about this is that the reservoir here, it's right here. All I'd have to do is pull it off, but you have to take all the rear body work off to get at the reservoir for the rear brake fluid. So I think that's going to be coming off. I had a rear tail light out, so I'm going to replace both of those. I went back and forth on whether or not I should do LEDs, but I got a 10-pack of incandescents for like $4. Plus the LEDs in the housing's not made for LEDs. Never seemed to work quite right, so just went with that. And someday this is probably going to be a track bike only, so won't actually need to worry about it. I've just been going through cleaning everything up with a solution of distilled. Why am I blanking on that word? So now that I've remembered the word diluted, I'll keep going. I know that this battery has been an issue since I've owned the bike, so this thing it's probably like 7 years old. I've got a new one, a Yuasa AGM battery. I'm in a cold region, so there's no opportunity for like a lithium ion battery or something like that. Plus I've had better experiences with those Yuasa batteries than any other batteries. I've had some terrible batteries. Those things always seem to be the best, so I'll be throwing one of those in there. I'll pull this part off to get to that front sprocket. Big thing is I've already got the steel braided lines on there, but I have them on order. I'm going to be replacing the entirety of the internals on the front brakes. I got new pistons on order, new seals, new everything, and I have new pads. I went with the Vesrah, I think they're RJL pads. That's actually what's in there. I looked, they got about 50% wear on them, but just, I mean, it's winter and I might as well be thorough with it, so gonna do that. I've got new spark plugs to throw in, new oil cap that has, or oil fill cap that has a safety pin on it. I have a new air filter. I didn't buy the OEM, I bought the high flow. Not certain if I'm actually gonna change it right away because I don't know if I want to be troubleshooting multiple things at one time, because I'm gonna pull the carburetors out, not gonna make any changes to it. But this bike has had a stall, and it went away the more I rode it. But originally when I started riding it, there was a hesitation. If you just gave it a ton of throttle, there was a hesitation that sometimes showed up. So I'm wondering if it's potentially clogged pilot jets. So I'm gonna pull the airbox off, pull the carburetors out, run them through the ultrasonic cleaner, and I don't think I'm going to need to buy any parts for that. If I do, I mean, I got 5 months to figure it out, so I haven't bought them yet. I don't want to have to replace anything inside the carburetor. I just want to clean it. Big thing that I need to do, this bike was checked, valve clearances at 16,000 miles. It was within spec. It's got another 10,000 on it. And I do not know if it's in spec anymore. And that's a scary thing because I've never done a shim under bucket valve adjustment. Hopefully this just turns into a valve clearance check. If not, then it's a much bigger job, but it's no better time to do it than now. So I will give that a shot. I know on the fuel tank, every once in a while I can smell fuel right when you start it. And the previous owner had told me that the stupid vacuum operated petcock, I hate those things so much. Anyway, I've got a rebuild kit for it, so I'll be rebuilding that. Front forks, I don't need to do anything to them, but the thing is, these have emulators in them, but they're not the Gold Valve Race Tech ones, and I can't remember what the guy told me. I know there's a couple different manufacturers that make them, K-Tech being one of them, I think, and then Traction being another one. So I want to pull them out, figure out what they are, and then I want to change the fork oil on it. I haven't figured out which fork oil I want because I don't know which emulators they are, and I know that the different manufacturers recommend different things based on which emulators you're running. I did just assemble this last night. This is a, what is it, Vortex head lift stand, which is pretty neat. I've never used one of these before. I probably should have not cheaped out and gone with the Pitbull. This is really stupid because I'd never seen one of these. So if you're like me, you're wondering how the hell do you make this stay straight so it lifts up? You don't actually need that. You basically just need to put in the correct pin, get it into the triple tree there. Make sure you've got a rear stand holding it because you got to do that first. And then I should be able to lift the bike up. So I can take the forks off just like that, which is pretty neat. The reason I said I probably shouldn't have cheaped out, it's not super sturdy. So I had been hanging the bike from the rafters previously. I got a hole somewhere. Yeah, so I've just been using a tie strap right there and then just holding the bike up. This will be way easier than hanging the bike, but I probably should have bought the Pitbull, but we'll see. Anyway, I'm not gonna replace the fork seals because they're not leaking. I did a really dumb thing. Most of my gauge bulbs were burnt out. All these were working, but most of the gauge bulbs in here were burnt out. You couldn't see them at night. Okay, so I pull it off, and if you ever use those little T5 74 wedge bulbs, you already, well, maybe you know where this is going. You don't have to pull the wedge out of the top. They spin out the back, and then you can replace it. I didn't freaking know that. So what I did is I pulled the needle off the tachometer to get the faceplate off, and then I pulled the bulb out, and then I put it back in. And now the tachometer is not calibrated. The part that sucks is that there is no information anywhere that I can find about how to calibrate the tachometer again. So I know that this bike in this setting right here will idle at 1300 RPM when it's hot, and I know what it sounds like. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to have to pull the faceplate off, run it on an auxiliary tank, try to line that up with about 1300 RPM with me remembering what the sound sounds like. If you just set the thing to 0 and then turn the bike on, it'll bounce up to 3500 RPM. So what I think the resting place while it's energized is at 3,500 RPM. So I then set the tach to 0 at that point. I have no idea if this is going to be correct. I posted this question on the SV Riders forum, the SV Riders subreddit, and somebody checked the factory service manual. They couldn't find a calibration process. 2 other people said that they basically just had to do trial and error. I know on my TW200 I have a little tachometer you can add that'll go around one of the spark plugs, so that might be the other kind of way I have to recenter this thing. So that really sucks, but it is what it is. So I got to get the front brakes off because those are going to be taking an ultrasonic clean, and they're going to get new seals, going to push all the fluid through. I guess I'm going to be doing the same thing with the rear one, just not replacing the pistons or the seals or anything, just cleaning the pistons up. That's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot else that I'm planning to do to the bike. It's just basic maintenance stuff. It's stuff that takes a long time, but it's stuff that needs to be done, especially to a, wow, bike's going to be 20 years old in a couple months. Well, who knows? Could have been manufactured 20 years ago. So, all right. So, rest of this video is just going to be me doing a couple little maintenance items. Nothing too exciting. Maybe talking to myself because I have nobody else to talk to. Watching boxing matches that happened in the past because there's not a whole lot of boxing matches on right now. And that's about it. So, we'll give it a shot. New rear sprocket is good to go. The 520 on there. Now it's time to get the front sprocket off. I've only ever done one of these in my life before. I just took the linkage off. I marked it with a silver Sharpie. I can see I'm at 12 and 9. So I can clean that. I know it's at 12 and 9. I'm not going to clean this because I want to keep those markings. And I got to pull this case off. Clutch cover is pretty easy to pull off. Just 3 bolts. I thought you had to actually have to take these 2 out, but you don't, which is good news. Clean this up a little bit. So now I'm going to take a 10 mil and pull this clutch holder off so that I'm able to get at the sprocket. I got to bend back that little flange piece there so then I can get, that thing looks like a beast. That might be like a 32 millimeter or something. And back that nut off, and then I can get the sprocket out, and then I can put a new one in. I'm looking at the sprocket. It looks really good. It really doesn't need to be replaced, but if you're doing that 525 to 520 conversion, you got to switch everything so it all matches. So here it comes out. I'm not sure if this is a good thing. I'm going to assume no. I did just bend that. It's kind of really rough, but I bent back that little flange bent over piece, so I was trying to size up to figure out what size nut that was. So it's a 32, and I was just doing this, and I was like, well, 1, I had to put this back, put it into gear so it would stop spinning. 2, I just put this on, and it's hand tight. I have not hit this with an impact wrench or anything. I know there's a setting, well, not a setting, but a torque setting that this should be at, and I think, well, I'm not going to talk out of turn, I think it's like 60 foot-pounds, but I'll double check it before I put it back on. But I don't think I was supposed to be able to just take that off that easily. Why did you do that? Why? That was all nice. Okay, well, there's the sprocket, which looks real nice still, you know, besides that bent over part. I'm gonna clean some of this shit up, and then I'm gonna put the new one in. So what I'm looking at now is pretty fucking insane, because the fact that I was able to hand loosen that front sprocket should absolutely not have been possible, and I do not know how it stayed on. That front drive sprocket nut needs to be tightened to 105 foot-pounds, and 105 foot-pounds is absolutely no joke. That was not good. So let's see if we can get this thing back on. And how much force is this going to take? Well, I've got my torque wrench, my 3/4 inch torque wrench, so no little bitch of a torque wrench, set to 105. Might be a couple turns here, but I am bewildered that that was able to work. All right. Oh, I'm not going to be able to tighten this until the chain is on. Nope, I'm not. I'm spinning the engine. So the chain I've got is 120 links, which it must be the full chain. The length I need, well, stock is 108. And I keep going back and forth on where to cut this thing. And because I've got this master link I need to put in. And if I count backwards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It keeps landing on the spot where I expect it to, right here. Which means I believe I need to cut this one, put this here. That gives me my chain. Glad I cleaned the whole rear wheel up just so I could mess it all up again. That's the one I need right there. That's the one that's coming off. That gets replaced by this. This sits here. Everything's all good. We can just outward, I think. I marked it with silver Sharpie. It might not show up, but that's what I did. I don't even see the pin. Where'd that little bitch go? Couldn't see it when I was grinding, but I can see it now. I just pushed it a little bit with the chain breaker, so I'll try that again. You can see it's indented now, but it was totally flush before. But I've got my tiny little pin. I should be using a different one, but I broke the one that I need to use, so I just need to be more careful using this one. Line that up, and then I should. A little harder when it's when you're not breaking a fully formed chain, because the chain keeps wanting to pop off, but I'm not meeting a ton of resistance here, so it should be popping out. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right, what do we got? What do we got over there? Cool. Should have that out. All right. Absolute pain in the nut satchel to get that pressed on, that plate, but I've got it pressed on. So now it's time to get the flare. So I've checked, and I am the same. Well, I'm about 0.05. Oh, I checked it earlier. I was getting 18.3 when I was checking earlier. Well, I'm not going to recheck it because I just checked it before. I'm 0.10 or 0.1 millimeters in too far. Well, compared to this length, compared to this length, these two are about 0.05 apart, and then this one's 0.05 in from this. Okay, so let's try flaring this thing out. I just tried doing a half turn. I checked it. It didn't. I mean, it moved it a bit, but it didn't actually change the diameter. So, got the anvil on the back. Put the rivet piece in there. So we should be ready to flare this bitch a little bit. And then I got a 14. Just going to tighten this up there, so that shouldn't move. And now I did a half turn before and it didn't do anything. So I'm going to try to watch it. Gotta move it down a little bit. One. Let's go a little more. Okay, that was more. Let's see if that did anything. Come on, be nice. All right, so where are we at now? We started at 523, 525. Are you kidding me? Why would the battery die right now? All right, I've only squished this 20 times on each side because I didn't want to go over, so I just kept trying it and then measuring, and I wasn't pushing it, but I am at 582, 580. So I'm over 0.5 on each. I was aiming for 585 on them. 582, 580. That should be good. We've got the chain on. Now it's time to tighten that thing up. All right, 105 foot-pounds. Dropped it onto its side so I can get the tire on the ground, or put on the kickstand, so I can tighten up the drive socket here. I'll take my piece of green tape off, that important piece, and show you just how much freaking 105 foot-pounds is. Oh, this isn't gonna work. I'm just gonna spin the tire. Motherfucker! How did I spin that off with my hand? Gonna play rough, eh? What do you think about that? Better than a fucking rag. Let's see if this works. Oh, Jesus. Oh my God. It's off the spool. Okay, we gotta not drop it. Oh shit. Okay, you need to get off. Oh boy, this isn't cool. Come on. Oh fuck. Oh shit. How is it on? Oh. Okay. Well, fuck that. Oh, I gotta pay people for things. All right, so I've got one of these. These are steel bars that I used to reset the spring tension on my garage door. I have put it under there. It's going to go up against the swing arm. I put a rag under it so I don't destroy the wheel. It's not touching the brake line, so I should, yep. Okay, so when I tighten it, okay, that should lock it into place. I gotta watch this though, because every other attempt is basically turned into a catastrophe. 105 foot-pounds is a lot. Is it 105? I can't remember what I set it to. It's not 105. I don't remember what it's set to. I don't know, I set it correctly. Oh my God. Oh, there it is. Well, that's it for today. I planned to get a whole lot more done. Didn't get a whole lot more done, but I got the clutch back hooked up. I didn't change any adjustment on it, just cleaned it and re-greased it. Gotta hook that linkage back up, put the cover back on, and I'll have the chain back on. Bent a tab over on the flange there, so should be good. Hopefully everything else doesn't go as frustrating as this did, but that's how everything goes when you're working on motorcycles, is what I have learned. So if you watched this far, thanks for watching.